Okay.
Hey, everybody. I'm Chris Metzler, one of the programmers with the Green Film Festival of San Francisco. As you know, we're a little bit of kind of a punk rock environmental film festival. So we try to kind of take some of the most interesting environmental and kind of personal stories from around the world and share them with you during the festival. And sometimes we're lucky enough to have Q&As with filmmakers and filmmaking teams. And you just saw Downriver Jordan. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks so much
Can you
for
introduce
having us.
yourself? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Happy to.
I'm Addie Navarro. I am the director and co-producer of Downriver Jordan. And Carly, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Carly Harmon. I'm also co-producer. This was really Addie's brainchild, and I was just kind of lucky to be included. So we've been working hand in hand over the past, gosh, what is Addie now? Like almost 7 years.
Long time.
Yeah, kind of put this
7 years.
While.
Well, I'm glad you guys decided to make it because it is a truly cool film. One of the kind of earliest ones that we saw during submissions, and both myself and one of our partners was like, "We need this film," and so it's like it's been at the top of the list since early on. So I imagine many in the audience were wondering, can you tell us a little bit about the kind of genesis of the film and how you knew that this was kind of the rabbit hole that you wanted to go down?
Yeah, it happened really organically. So actually, Carly and I met because we went to an adventure film school workshop together where Carly was actually working there. And I was just attending the workshop, and we connected because we were both raft guides. So we just kind of hit it off because we both were into whitewater, and then we were also into film. So it was sort of like how many people do you meet with this kind of like Venn diagram of interests? And so we hit it off. And then when I was moving over to Israel for a short period of time with my now husband. And over there, I was interested in potentially whitewater raft guiding while I was there as a job. And then when I started kind of doing some research into where I could do that in the area, the Jordan River was coming up, but everyone I met said, "Oh, you don't, there's nothing to raft there. There's nothing why would you go there? It's kind of, it's very slow. It's polluted. Like there's not really anything of interest over there." And I, just became really interested in that. I was like, why is it? Why is it that way? And then kind of, how did this happen? Got connected with people at EcoPeace Middle East, which is a trilateral organization in the region that they have an office in Jordan, in Israel, and in Palestine in the West Bank. And their mission is to work together across all governments to try to support environmental projects, including rehabilitating the Jordan River. And so I got connected with somebody in their Tel Aviv office, and they showed us around the area and showed us sort of why the river, like what was going on with the river and how it was becoming, how it was just not being managed super well. And that's why it had sort of gone down by 96% in 50 years. And so then I got this crazy idea that to try to raft or pack raft from the headlands, the headwaters to the Dead Sea, knowing that it would be a logistical nightmare. And it kind of was. And then Carly was crazy enough to say yes. And then we got a few people to join us. And yeah, I just was really interested in why in this river for some reason, and why it had changed so much. And then also just what can happen when a river is or when any sort of natural landscape is divided across these political borders, which are really which are arbitrary in terms of humans just sort of deciding that this is where we are. but the river just sort of goes wherever it wants. And so, yeah, it happened really, really slowly and then very quickly.
Well, and yeah, that's such a beautiful way for things to start. And Carly, I mean, what was the thing that got you to say yes? I mean, was it the adventure of it, or supporting a friend, or the story to be told, or yeah, what was the thing?
Yeah, there were a ton of variables that kind of drew me into this own Sega adventure of our own. Obviously, Eddie and I, she had mentioned, we had clicked and we share our passion for whitewater. I rafted as a guide for a few years on multiple rivers. So yeah, the opportunity to explore a new river in a place I've never been, and such an iconic river at that, was definitely grabbed my attention. Obviously, we were into the filmmaking industry. I've been working commercially as a freelancer out of Seattle, and the idea at kind of taking on my own passion project, and that opportunity alone was calling to me as well. The creative freedom and the ability to kind of craft this story, and the challenge of trying to do this politically charged area justice. It sparked my interest. So yes, I said yes to all sorts. I have no regrets though.
I think we did not. We walked in pretty naively and pretty we walked in pretty naively, I would say, and just things kind of unfolded very organically throughout filming, and just took on more layers of complexity the more that we were filming in the region. So it was one of those projects that like we couldn't have planned. I think the way that it unfolded, I don't think we could have planned. Like we met people really spontaneously that that really drove us in new directions throughout filming. So we got really lucky with that too.
A slight tangent, though. I'm just kind of curious, given this kind of adventure film school that you both meant on. So, so many filmmakers we often meet with a lot of the films of the festival are kind of documentary or narrative filmmakers that kind of put their toe, I guess, in environmental or adventure filmmaking. And so what was it that kind of drew you to knew that adventure filmmaking was something that you all were interested in, and what are some of the variables that are kind of different when you're kind of having to include that as part of the storytelling?
Yeah. I think being interested in adventure filmmaking, you have to first be really interested in the adventure part of it, whether there's cameras or not. And I think Carly and I both shared that passion or that interest in just getting out there and doing a lot of things, mainly whitewater. We did a lot of whitewater stuff. So I think that aspect is definitely alluring. And then in terms of adding cameras into the mix and making films related to that kind of adventure style, I think you just have to be prepared for your equipment to get messed up and for you to lose things to get wet, audio to not work. I mean, what else did we have? I mean, so many things. It's very day by day, taking opportunities that come your way. There's a lot in our film that, it was kind of verite style. Like we kept the camera rolling a lot when we were just out and about and happened to capture, some opportunities. Very little was planned. I mean, we tried to plan as best we could in terms of our, route and our resources and supplies. But in terms of the people that we met, it was very, it just kind of happened. So I think adventure filmmaking kind of has that built into it, that you just have to kind of be ready for anything. And then also the negative side of that is that, you might end up with there's one story when we were entering the Sea of Galilee, the Kinneret. We were kayaking in from the river into this big open expanse, and it's like the most beautiful moment we've ever seen. It's like purple skies and birds are flying low, and it's just like gentle rolling waves. And we had this drone shot of it, and the drone shot was the most beautiful thing. You know, we were like, oh, this is going to be, you know, a phenomenal shot for the film. And then the drone just tanked and landed itself in the water, and we'd lost all of that. So I think it's just, you know, one of those things where you end up making a film with what the pieces that are left over after the adventure kind of did its number on whatever you tried to do. So.
Yeah,
So,
it's definitely a unique genre in the ways that you can feel like you are as prepared as you possibly can be, and then that all goes out the window pretty quickly, and it's just a matter of adjusting and making the most of what you've got with what you have.
Yeah, it kind of came in handy also during COVID, because we had some plans to shoot some additional footage during COVID, which we had to cancel. And so, you know, the finished film that we have now is sort of without some of that stuff that we had planned. And it's just, you know, one of those things where you have to say that, you know, you have to make the film with the best of what you have. So that's what we try to do.
Well, very cool. It's a really special filming. Are there any stories that didn't make it into the film that or, you know, seems like there were a lot of surprises during the making it, but like, is there one big surprise where you're like, okay, no matter how much we would have ever prepared, we would never have guessed that this was going to happen?
I think, well, it did make it into the film. I think us meeting Udi was a huge, like, the film took another direction when we met him, and also set us up with Gilad, who ended up guiding us down the class 4 section of the river. And if we had not just stumbled across this person, we would not have been able to like continue down that river at all, because we didn't know what was there. Very few people do know what is there, which is kind of surprising. It's just not a very well known section of the river, and people don't really recreate down there. So we didn't know that. Even after extensive research, we still didn't know that was what was waiting for us. So we got very lucky in just meeting the right people who could help us out. But yeah, that made it in, but that was a huge surprise that we did not plan at all. Can you think of anything, Carly?
I mean, gosh, you know, well, what didn't make it in was all of my camera equipment getting wet. That was, I mean, we kind of touched on that in your previous question, but I mean, just the setbacks as far as setting up for shots and getting the shots, getting the equipment, finding the gear that was, you know, I think it's come a long way since the origin story of our making this film. You know, more people are getting into this genre, you know, more hacks and tricks and what to use and how to pack lightly, you know, get high quality footage. All of these things are becoming more accessible, but you know, this was a budget film, and we were working with what we had, and all of that knowledge that's kind of coming to the forefront really wasn't super accessible, even though we had taken courses on it. So yeah, I mean, like our pack rafts were leaking, you know, floors were deflating. At one point, Asaf, one of our crew members, found a like blow up lawn chair that he used as his pack raft floor just to help create buoyancy going through these rapids. So like we were really working on the fly. And I think a lot of those little things kind of, we didn't want that to take away from the main message of the story. So they didn't make it in, but yeah, there were a lot of things, a lot of quick thinking on our feet and a lot of quick problem solving that we had to do along the way that didn't make it in, but we still laugh about it today.
Well, I think that the spirit of enthusiasm definitely carries over in the film. So thank you again for making. And how can folks continue to kind of follow the film online or your guys' filmmaking efforts?
Yeah, we have a website for the film. It's riverjordanfilm.com, and we have an Instagram by the same name. I think the Instagram is the River Jordan Film.
Mhm. Yep.
It's either the or it's River Jordan Film. I'm not sure actually. But yeah, you can find us on Instagram, online, on Facebook, and yeah, we're just excited to keep sharing it. Eventually, in the next few months, we're going to be kind of working on where it's going to live online. So hopefully, in the future, more people can watch it streaming online.
Very cool. Well, thanks again, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.